So I'm going to do an infill. I've taken the colour off and I've reshaped the nail, and on this hand I have already taken down the bulk of the apex, but I've left any kind of lifting around the edges to show you how it will come off using a sanding band. So my first, I've already prepped around the cuticle area, so now I just need to remove lifting on this hand and prep the natural nail regrowth. But on this hand, I haven't taken any of the old apex down. So I'm going to show you first how I would remove this. This would be my first point of call before I go in and remove the shine from the natural nail, just because then it gives me a nice flush surface. There's no apex getting in the way that will affect the angle of how I use my sanding band. So I'm using a 150 because I'm going to be using it on product, not the natural nail, and I'm going to be using it to remove the bulk. So I always start from left to right, and my speed is on 10, again because it's on the product. So I work from left to right, and I'm just using a small amount of pressure, which is different to how I would use it on the natural nail. And a mixture of going from left to right and side to side until I see that the product's old apex has flattened. You don't want to do it so that you completely remove the product. You're just working to, so you can see from this angle where my old apex was. So I'm just going to work, and this is the same for builder in a bottle. What I'm infilling here is acrygel, and you can see my old apex is smoothing down. Also, I'm changing the angle of the nail at the same time. So as I'm doing from the left hand side, I'll make sure that whatever surface I'm on, I can see fully, because I don't want to have to change my e-file to this position, because then my hand is at an awkward position, I can't see properly. If I change the angle of my client's hand, I'm starting from that angle, so I will then, you can see I'm slowly moving the finger so that I can see. And it's not moving too much of the client's hand, arm is still in the same position, I'm just tilting their hand. And then to get down to this angle, to if there's any product here, you can see if I zoom out a little bit, you can see you can either hold it like this or come around to the front of the nail and you're pulling that skin back at the same time, and I can go along and just do a couple of swipes. That's all you need. You don't need to do too many over the top. Because it's going that little bit faster, it could create a heat spike if you do too many at a higher speed. But you can now see if I tilt to the side how much that apex has now flattened. I could probably, now I'm holding it at this angle, take a little bit more, and that's nice and flush there. So I'll continue to do that on all 10 fingers, and then once I'm happy with how much of the apex I've taken down, I'll then start on the prep. So I'm just on second to last. I'm coming around that side, and don't forget to practice your pressure, because if you press too hard, it can take too much product off and cause heat friction as well. So that's, I'm happy with that one. That is the speed I expect beginners to use, rather not this. I do this because I've been doing it a long time, but you need to know that you're not going over the same area more than a couple of times. So long, even strokes will remove an even amount of product. If I hear like that. Can you hear? You're pressing too hard and your pressure is uneven. You can go from right to left, as you're seeing. It's all about control, making sure you've got the right pressure. Follow the same routine with the same pressure and you shouldn't encounter any problems of uneven removal. But this is the debulk of the product and what you're looking for. No apex, because you can reapply your apex with the infill and you just want to flatten out that old product. I'm now using a 180 and I'm going to move my speed down to 6 because I'm going to be going over any areas that just join that could be lifted. So as I go round the very edge of the product, I'm using very minimal to no pressure. It's always good to test this on yourself, the amount of pressure and how you hold your hand, and that has just removed any lifting. I don't think there's any lifting on this one. How I do it is I start on the product and move my way forward very slightly, and what this does is it helps to flatten the product where it starts before you then go onto the natural nail. If you try to go onto the natural nail straight away, you could end up going at the wrong angle and end up denting the natural nail. So this one, again, I'm just going to go around the product. It's when you're in person, it's quite easy to see where the product finishes and the natural nail starts. There is a very small amount of lifting right here. Gone. So the key is to not overthink it. I think there's a little bit down this side. Can you see where it's a little bit white there? So I'm just going to very gently go over that, and it's just flaking away. I'm coming slightly behind it now. So the key is you don't want to go onto the natural nail with any pressure. So come in slightly behind, and now that's gone. Okay, and then this bit of nail that is now on show, I will go over with a fresh 180 or a 240, depending on what medium you're using. For Aquagel, I like to prep with a 180, but I wouldn't prep with the same sanding band that I'm removing lifting. I would use a fresh for each hand so that you know you're getting the same, like you would with a fresh file. You wouldn't prep a natural nail with an old file because you know you're not going to be etching it well enough. So now I'm going to do the other hand. There's a little bit more lifting on this hand. So we're just going to do exactly the same. The apex has already been removed on this hand. And I'm just going to glide over. And because the apex is removed and I've flattened the product, it is a little bit easier to just remove that. There's a little bit of glitter here. Very light pressure will get that off. Always making sure to check the sides. And you can see here, sorry, I might have gone off shot there a little bit. There is that bit of lifting here. So I'm going to start on the right hand side, on top of the product, nowhere near the natural nail, on top of the product. Again, this is at speed 6. And at speed 6, it's already starting to remove in this area here. And then I can very lightly dust over. And it's the rotations and the material with very light pressure that flicks the lifted product up. You don't need much at all, and you can see there's no damage to the nail. I always practice, when I first started, I practiced on myself to make sure that my my pressure was okay. To the point that I could use, it didn't matter what grit I use, I would get the same result. Just using the same pressure. So there's quite a bit of lifting here. I'm going to go behind it. The reason you don't need to go over it is because it's already removed itself from the natural nail. So what you want to try and do is just create a weak point behind it, so that when you do go over it, it will just flick off. And that way you're not constantly going over the natural nail, which is what people are so worried about with sanding bands and overuse. So you're coming behind it. And now I'm just going over the top, and you can see it's starting to come away now. Very, very gently. And the more you do this and practice, the more confident you'll become with your pressure and how you remove that lifting. So that's that one done, and then there's a small amount around this thumb. So I'm going to do the same. Go in just behind the lifting. I'm going to turn the speed up a little bit, just because it's a little bit thicker on the thumb, just to create that weak point behind it, so that as I come over it more, it will just start to flake away. And if I turn this to the side, you should be able to see that this is a lot thinner than here. So I'm still only on the product, but I'm creating that weak point. And then making sure that you keep light pressure. If that flicks off, you're not going to be denting into the nail. So behind it, and then go round again. Light pressure in case anything flicks off. And it's starting to come away, and you can see that it looks a little bit more cloudy. There we go, it's starting to come away. I'm going to turn my speed down to 6 because I want to go over the top, and in case it does go onto the natural nail, we know that it's not going to do any more than what a natural nail file would. So you can see it's starting to lift. Just gonna, there we go. And that is very, very light. So that is all of our lifting removed. So I'm now going to change the sanding band, and I'm going to change it to a 180 because this is Acrogel, but if I was doing a builder in a bottle infill, I'd just use a 240 grit, and then I will show you now. So a fresh 180 band, and I'm going to start on the right hand side of the nail. It's important that you find what's comfortable for you, because if you don't feel comfortable starting on this side, you need to find what angle is right for you. I suggest either holding like this, starting from the right hand side, or holding like this and pulling the skin back and having full control of the finger. So I can move it this way, like this, or I can hold it like this, and I will have the same angle that I can get to on each way that I'm holding the finger. So I'm going to start coming up. I'm on 6. If I had full, because I've got a little bit of battery in my e-file. So if I had full power e-file, with full battery I mean, I would probably just use 5 would be enough. It doesn't make much difference in the power, but it like very, very minute. So as I'm coming round, I'm keeping my sanding band nice and flat, and that is the prep done to that. Any wispy bits of skin that come up after I've done prep, I will remove that after. Move your hand, thank you. So again, coming down the side, but I'm not keeping my client's hand like this and trying to get in. I'm tilting it so that I can see with my eyes at a good level. Very gently. There is a little bit of lifting that I've come across. I don't know whether no, it's just thicker product. So my sanding band was meeting that bit of product before the natural nail. So I've just flattened that there so that I can get a nice flat, smooth pass. Again, very, very light pressure. You don't need a lot. You need like the e-file to do the work for you. The speed, the rotation and the grit. If you have, turn your hand a little bit, minimal pressure, the right speed, the drill bit will do all of the work for you. If you feel like you're heavy-handed, just keep practicing. You can practice on a fake tip and check for dents. Practice holding a fake finger maybe. How you would hold it and how you would maneuver your e-file to the angle that your client's hand's at. Practice on a partner, a family member. You don't even need to have the e-file on. When I have beginners in-person training, I will get them to just practice holding the finger and the angle, making sure that their drill bit is flat to the surface and how they maneuver that before they do any work on a live model. So this bit here I've missed because I've already gone over that when I removed the lifting. So I just went up to it because I don't know if you can see it clearly in the video what was already filed. And then any bits right in the corner, I will just use a diamond bit to get to those. So again, this side, because it's the other hand, is a little bit tricky to bend this way. So I'm just going to come from the top, bend her pinky in, so she's bending her actual finger, and then I can get to it. And then coming round. And that's one done. And then just keep checking the angle that you can get to properly. Did you hear that noise change? Because there's a bit of lifting and it's vibrated. So I will just go over that lifting, and then I'm going to change my sanding band. I haven't upped the speed. There we go. So I'm going to just change my sanding band. Always take it out first. Don't pull it directly out of the e-file because you don't want to tug on any of the mechanical bits that hold it all together. So another 180 going in. Still on 6 and back onto the same nail, and I'm going to start from the corner. Done. So this one we removed the lifting from earlier, So I'm just going over that and round. I would normally use a dust collector, but because it's a bit noisy, I haven't used that today, so that you can hear me and the noise of my e-file. I'm not happy with how I went up the side of this, so I'm just checking for any slight areas that I've missed. And this is the last one. There we go. Can you see that product coming off there? Sorry, move your hand slightly. Bit of lifting that I've missed. Just along the side. Usual places where you would expect to see lifting. I'm going to turn the speed down to 4. Just because. There we go. I just need slow and smooth because it's right on the edge. And we are done. Okay. Then all I would do is dust and prep my nail ready for the infill. So that is prepping the natural nail and the product in an infill using a sanding band.